No.
No.
No, okay. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. Oh, England is so small. Everyone's on top of each other all the time. Where am I? Are you still there? Okay. All right.
Yeah, we are.
I'm going to say, Nessa, build the container.
Right, it's my third one. Oh, yes, Mark. Maybe you should get
Okay.
Mark to build a container.
Okay, let's get Mark to build the container.
Oh
Oh,
my
here's
gosh.
Kayleen.
I don't think Kayleen has ever done it.
Oh, there we go. Okay, let's go build a container.
Hey?
It's the TikTok superstar Kayleen.
Morning.
Morning. All right, here's Bradley. Oh gosh, we're getting a full house here. Lorraine sent me a message saying she can't make it today. But otherwise, I haven't heard from anyone else.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Is that Josh? Bradley.
No.
Bradley. Right, okay. So let's try that again. Who wants to build the container this morning? Right. So willingness is a coaching skill set. You've all failed. Right. All right. I'll build the container. Okay. So David checking. Good morning, everyone. I'm feeling I've been up since 10 to 6. I've scrolled all over the planet Earth on my phone. I've got square eyes. I've gone from TikTok to LinkedIn to ChatGPT to our own app to WhatsApp, and now I'm here. And I've been thinking about the Hawthorne effect. So I check in with Joy. I tag Inessa.
So, Inessa, I'm checking in, feeling amused. And I'm amused, still amused since yesterday when my 81-year-old stepfather was telling me how he uses ChatGPT in a war swept Ukraine to check his backache symptoms. I'm going to tag Bradley.
Thanks, Inessa. I'm going to follow on from that. Bradley checking in, not about Chat GPT, but against just body feeling a bit sore from the past 2 days, been intense. But I check in feeling quite relaxed though. And I'm going to hand over to Mark.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute there. Mark checking in. A little bit frazzled. It seems like I'm having a bit of trouble in paradise already. But I don't know. No, it's just me being, all in my head probably. Yeah, but that's me. I'm going to tag Josh.
Thanks, Mark. Josh checking in, feeling good. Slowly moving out of a state of procrastination with another course I'm doing. I have a huge project, but I'm getting it done. So I'm feeling good about my abilities to move forward. But yeah, overall good. I'm going to tag Kayleen. I'm not sure if you've gone, Kayleen.
Sorry, I accidentally sent a typo on the group, so I was frantically trying to remove it. Kayleen checking in, feeling relaxed, sort of on a holiday already, so that's nice. And yeah, just feeling relaxed, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna tag Leanne. Leanne, have you gone?
Morning, everyone. Checking in. Yeah, I'm feeling a little preoccupied this morning, a little anxious, not sure what that's about. Otherwise, good. And who just came in? I'm on my phone. My computer can't handle Zoom.
Yeah.
Tonya, if she's managed to connect.
Tonya, you're muted. If you care to unmute and check in. All right, so while we're waiting for Tonya to connect,
Look, guys,
oh, there we go.
I'm 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 actually not. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't know what was going on. Yes, hi. Checking in. A little bit in a ruminating space, a little bit, but yeah. Apprehensive, that's the word.
Apprehensive.
Mm.
Okay. So I would put apprehensive in the fear quadrant. There's a little
Oh,
bit
God.
of like, hey?
Yeah. Yes, correct.
Yeah, something's going to be happening. Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or not
So-
happening.
Or not happening. Yep. Okay.
Mm.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Mm.
But there's an outcome in the future that's having an impact in the present.
Correct. Yes,
Mm.
a potential outcome.
Okay. Okay. So that's the story of my life.
Cool. Do I need to tag someone?
No, it's come back to me. So where are we? Is this class number 13 for this cohort? Yeah.
I think it's 14, is it not?
14. Okay. Okay. So I imagine Kayleen's pretty much fucking got this. I know where we are. Okay. It's gone fast, huh? I can't believe we're already 14 weeks into this. All right. So I've got all sorts of things to talk about. But before I do that, let's just orientate ourselves. So if we are at 14, yep, so we should be coming to we should start to be in the 4Q model. Yep. So the 4Q model is IQ, EQ, SQ, and PQ. IQ being technical skills, EQ being emotional intelligence, SQ is spiritual intelligence, and PQ is political intelligence. The ability to build, you see, I've got this hand gesture on Zoom. Now it's automatically put my hand up. Sorry, let me try and but PQ is the ability to build relationships. Yep. So to give you an example, my past, yep, being someone that had politically correct substance use disorder, which is a polite way of saying I was a chronic crackhead and heroin addict that caused a whole lot of chaos and crisis, chaos and conflict. And my kids got taken away and put in foster care, and the state came along, and it was a very traumatic time, not only for me, but for the family and everything. And it's really something that's driven me. It's activated the activator in me to go out into the world and make a difference around this sort of stuff. Yeah. The challenge with that past trauma is when it comes to building relationships with social workers or the police or academics, things like that. It's been quite difficult because I haven't been able to. I've needed to temper my own stuff. Does that make sense? So it hasn't been helpful going to the police with the attitude of ACAB and wondering why relationships are strained. Yep. It's the same with the psychiatric profession. I have a thing against psychiatrists because of my childhood experience with them, and that would always come into the room. Yep, and that would create distance. So instead of collaborating, yep, and breaking down the silos, yep, I would perpetuate the problem. Am I making sense? Yeah. Yeah. So that's where the kind of the political intelligence comes into it. I have a lot of arrogance because based around my recovery, because it was pretty miraculous that I found recovery. And because of that, I would then project that, like, kind of, I have a whole lot of skill sets, which have kind of been unearned just based on my experience. Yep. So, for example, and a lot of people in this environment do that. They seem to think because they've stopped smoking crack or something, all of a sudden they can start giving you relationship advice or financial advice or medical advice or psychiatric advice. And this is something that is endemic in our system, within the system around that. So this is where we are as a class. And just to, I was thinking about Delray this morning as well, who's come into the class, and she's obviously got some strong emotional stuff that she needs to be able to contain and get support around, so she can be there for her clients in a way. And this is a good environment to practice that sort of stuff as well. And I mean, Del Rey's what? She's in about class number 6 or something, 7. So yeah, I've had lots of thoughts about this container this morning and where we are as a class. But my curiosity is going to go to Mark, who's kind of saying there's already trouble in paradise.
I don't know what's going on with my mute function. Oh, no, it's just so the guy that I'm kind of seeing has got testicular cancer.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
I know, I really know how to pick them, eh? And so he goes for he went for chemo, and at first I had that thing of, is this true, or am I being sort of like taken for a ride here? But I met his family, and they kind of have like told me it is what it is. And I was like weary about getting into something with someone, and it was so great to start, but now I'm finding that I'm having to be supportive of someone that's going through something quite hard to go through. And I don't know really how to do that. And it's kind of like, when he becomes distant or sick or weird, it's like, I don't know how to cope and be supportive really. And I've tried, but I feel it's impacting me a little bit. And now I'm having that like fight or flight. Do I stay in it, or do I like let it go and focus only on my recovery, or I don't know. So I'm like in a weird space with that at the moment.
Wow.
It's supposed to be it's supposed to be the honeymoon phase, and now it feels like I'm already having to like support someone that's going through something really traumatic in their life, and I don't know if I'm equipped for that. But then I feel like an arsehole because I should be supportive. I don't know.
Yeah. So
confused.
Mark, I gotta be honest. When I said, all right, let's go to Mark and let's see what honey, what's it like in paradise? This is not what I expected. So straight away, it's like, oh fuck, oh shit, I wish I never asked. Okay. So, wow, I'm sure there's lots of feelings and complexities there. What would support look like from this container?
What, like people or like is
Yeah.
others gonna? Okay.
Just as we learn about coaching, we talk about this stuff. Just, yeah. I mean, and that's based on my anxiety.
Hmm.
Oh, that's a nice sigh.
Oh gosh, because it's like so many factors to it also. It's I don't know. I'm so confused at this point, really. Maybe it's it was like everything was going great and I didn't feel, but it's made me really uncomfortable the last couple of days, even in my recovery now. I find myself, I try to be supportive in this person and he gets frustrated and then I sit and freak out about it and I don't know, maybe so I decided to kind of like distance myself a little bit for a while and wait for him to come out of his chemo situation because he's been twice before and it was always fun. But this week, him getting it has been like really rough on him. So I'm just pulling away and letting him do his thing and get bright and better. And
So in the quadrant of spiritual principles, yeah, what spiritual principles can you practice here in this?
I think patience, and it's nowhere near like love stage, but I suppose I can practice sort of like humility. I don't even know what I would practice at this point. Yeah, I did patience. I don't know, care. I have no idea. I'm so like my brain is all over the place this morning, so I can't even focus on what are the principles at this point.
All right. So I'm going to mention some of them. So there's like kind of faith, trust, acceptance, unconditional love, humility, courage, surrender. I mean, this really compassion. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Okay, so can I just, sorry, I don't want to take up all the airtime here, but I think let me say what's really bothering me about the situation.
Okay, there we go.
I think what's bothering about it is that, as addicts, I tend to do everything in extremes. So I think I fell for this guy a little bit too quickly, too intensely. And now that he's going through this, I'm trying to be so supportive and now it's coming across a bit clingy or weird and now I feel him pulling away himself a bit. And then so I'm like, oh, maybe I must end this before I get hurt but then I know in the back of my mind, he's going through something hectic. He can't be like all lovey-dovey and happy and whatever. So I just need to really be compassionate and patient and not to put so much focus on this, actually, Suppose I'm just, feeling a lot at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Nessa.
So when you started the conversation, I started taking notes because my initial thing was like, how does anybody answer a question like what Mark just asked? Because he is in the place where recovery is just so fragile still. And I think it probably would be fragile for many people for for a period of time. You have to focus on that. And then you have this major trauma that you're setting yourself up for. But what comes to my mind is that There's that expression that's called ministry of presence, just being with a person. You don't have to solve the problem. You don't have to carry their problem. You can just be with them. You know, while they're feeling sick, while they're feeling happy, you can just chill there, just be there. They just want another person with them, without having to carry it emotionally or feeling like you have to fix it for them. So that's kind of what came up in my mind just now.
Josh?
I think the thing for me that I'd want to ask you, Mark, because you're speaking, the thing that struck me towards the end is you said that you, in addiction, were always attracted to the extremes. And I feel like a lot of those extremes weren't the same as this. You know what I mean? So I'm just curious as to like, what are your thoughts around that? Like, in what way are you linking your relationship with this person and them having quite a serious thing to deal with? Like, what exactly is so worrying about that for you? Like, why are you drawing the similarity to like extremes in addiction and this? Like, what are the fears really with that? Because that's something that really stood out for me.
I think I'm just a little bit unnerved by the fact that I've literally known this person for like 2 months, not even probably, and I shouldn't really have such strong feelings so soon, maybe, you know. I think if that makes like I meant to take things slow. I said I would, and yet here I am flipping, yeah, skating into codependence. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that, but I'm aware of that.
But what does slow look like? You know, that's my question. What does taking it slow really mean? You know,
Nice
I don't think you've moved
questions,
in with the
Josh.
guy. Thank you. Well, I mean, I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah,
Like, what does that
that's
mean
good. So
for
being
you?
curious, getting, yeah. And Vanessa, I really liked your term ministry of presence. I like that too. Okay. All right. So Mark, just from a safety perspective, yep, this is being recorded. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, cool. All right. And would you like to process this?
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, so we'll keep the container open. So Josh asked you some pertinent questions. Yep.
What was your question again, Josh? What does slow look like?
Yeah, what does slow look like? And in what ways do you think you're not taking it slow? How would you like to take it? You know, what would it look like?
Can I
Yes.
just say something? Josh, your questions are really great, but from a coaching perspective, try and ask one at a time.
For sure. I think I'm approaching it
Just,
from a
just a little
discussing
bit
in
of
a
feedback
container
there, because
perspective.
like David said, your questions are amazing. But Mark's not getting the amazingness of the questions because he's getting confused by the amounts of questions. So try and just slow down a little and ask him one question at a time so that the client, just as a learning piece, the client can process what you're asking.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you.
Want to go again, Josh?
Sure. What does taking it slow look like for you?
Taking it slow would be like, I don't know, not having being in the honeymoon phase and not getting sort of like hard things put on my plate right in the beginning of the relationship, I suppose. Maybe that's not answering the question at all. Maybe the spotlight needs to be off me today.
No, I think it's scary to be seen. I totally feel that. That's how I feel when I share as well. Like, I don't know if that's how you're feeling. That's how I feel. But yeah, you answered it for me. I think, I don't know. I wonder if you think that's a realistic expectation, if you think that's how relationships always work. Because I think adversity comes at the weirdest times. I don't know. And I'm not trying to coach Mark here. I want to have a conversation around this.
I don't know. I honestly, you know what, I am a very compassionate person, and I don't know, maybe I'll wait. No, I don't know. Another question, anyone? I'm getting kind of twisted.
What are you feeling in your body right now, Mark?
I'm feeling like anxious. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, fuck the wow, give a fucking wow, okay. All right. Bradley, you got a question?
Hey, Mark. Yeah. Mark, just sitting listening to you, I heard you speaking a lot about everything that's running through your head and what support looks like. Do you actually know what your partner's support looks like, or for him personally? What
Make
does he
that an
expect?
open question, Bradley.
Sorry?
Make that an open question.
Mark, how do you think your partner's support would look like?
Great.
What the support he wants to get from me.
That's correct, yes.
I think he has told me numerous times that, you know, he struggles with he has struggled with his diagnosis, and that when he's going through it, I must be aware that he is moody and, you know, erratic and all over the place, and it's not me, and I need to not take it personal. I've heard him say this to me, but yet I find that when I'm now going through this, it's hard not to take things personal because I feel helpless and I want to do more than I'm supposed to be doing. So, and I feel like I've got so much on my plate, and I'm feeling uncomfortable in my whole entire existence at the moment. So this is just a small thing that's triggering me, I think.
Thank you, Bradley. You want to ask another question, Bradley?
Mark, I recall last week or the week before, you said the pole dancing has come to a close now. You don't know what to do with your time. And
it's going to be closed on Friday, yeah.
On Friday. And I think, do you feel that with what is happening now with your partner actually gives you more time to concentrate on him?
I'm not sure. I think this time of the festive season, I didn't think it was going to affect me so much, but I think me having time to focus on that it's just adding to this whole anxiety I have around this time. With you know, with my recovery, I feel like I'm now boxed in, and I'm having to focus on this. Well, I feel this anxiety, and I've got the pole dance is coming to an end, so I'm worried about what outlet I'm going to have to get rid of it or cope this month, actually. Now this is just making it even more intense for me, this story.
So I'm just going to giggle because it's getting tense in here, yeah, just to try and alleviate the tension of it. Okay, we'll have a question from Josh, then Kayleen, and then Tonya, and then we'll stop. Yeah. Okay, go for it,
What
Josh.
What would you like to focus on, Mark? You know,
wonderful question.
That's a good one, yeah.
I think just finding my joy again this week, maybe. I'm tired of feeling negative and sorry for myself.
Kayleen?
I guess I wanted to touch a little bit on, I don't have a specific question in my mind yet, but that feeling that you said that there's that discomfort or becoming uncomfortable with the self, because a lot of the time the substance or the addiction is what helps us to soothe that discomfort that we sit with. And I think that ties into the answer that you just gave, which was, yeah, that you like there's a lot of weight on the self and how you I don't think I'm making perfect sense, but I guess I would ask like how do we make that how do you think you could make that discomfort a little bit more or become more accepting of that discomfort? So let's say there's not the pole dancing anymore, there's not the various things to perhaps look forward to during the festive season when things are all closed up and routine looks a little bit different. How do you become comfortable with that sort of filling that space, or actually not even needing to fill that space? How do you become I'm gonna make it into one question. Sorry, guys, I'm all over the place this morning, but
Breathing, Kaylin. You'll get there. You'll get there. Good.
yeah, no, I'm just thinking out loud here, but I hope I'm making sense, like the train of thought that I'm going with. But what happens when there's that discomfort? What would be the strategy?
So I'm not sure what the strategy would be like, but I have noticed that in the last couple of days, all I've done is actually what I'm not supposed to do, and that's go and isolate in the room and kind of not want to be around people. I get extremely annoyed with anyone that's in the house currently. So I think the strategy going forward is to kind of break that cycle and return to sort of things I was doing before, which is connecting and going to groups and stuff like that. Yeah, I suppose I need to be doing, getting out there going.
Yeah. Have you got a question?
Me. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So yeah, one of the questions would have been, what are your other resources? What other resources can you count on or rely on or find other than perhaps pole dancing? And then something that popped in was, the relationship. Would you consider doing a cost benefits analysis? Like how is it benefiting you right now? What are you prioritizing? Yeah. You don't have to answer those. I'm just ballparking, like, yeah. Perhaps.
I don't know if Leanne wants to say something on that before I answer. Okay. I think the resources. I think I need to practice a bit more humility if we're talking about principles with the people in the house, and there's some new people that have come into the house. So I think I need to just engage with them a little bit and go to wellness. I haven't been in a while, and
Yeah, so resources, other maybe in terms of physical activity or hobbies or activities, perhaps other activities that you can. Yeah.
I think no, I have to do some investigation there because I haven't found any replacement things to do yet.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Okay.
I'll definitely give
Thank
it
you,
some
Mark.
thought. Thanks, Tanya.
Alrighty. Cool.
Thanks, guys. I do feel a bit better.
Let's hear from Leanne.
So I just want to bring it back to a training piece. So not to talk about what Mark's talking about necessarily, because the difference between David and I is he works these containers and I work the assessments. And one of the things I've noticed with a few of you is a lot of questions back to back. And I see it in the assessments, and it becomes overwhelming for a client, especially a client like Mark, using this as a piece, who just actually feels like he needs to slow down and put his feet on the floor and hear one thing at a time. So this is a learning piece. I'm not having a go at anybody, What I see a lot in the assessments is people explaining their questions. That very short question Josh asked, I can't remember exactly. That's it. That's a powerful question. That's a powerful open question. You don't have to explain what you mean by your questions, like, well, what are you going to do to resource yourself? Because I know that you can't go to pole dancing anymore, and it's a difficult time of the year from you, Bubba. And then what we do is we run commentary on the question. You don't need to do that. Just ask the question. And if the client doesn't understand the question or doesn't know what, they will ask you for guidance on the question. Just let them be with a question at a time. I've listened to probably now going on for hundreds of certification pieces. And that's the one thing that I pick up over and over again. Ask a question, give the client a chance to answer the question, right? And don't explain your questions. Your powerful questions are powerful questions. Powerful questions don't have to be long and verbose, wordy, with lots of explanation. They can be very, what do you need to do to resource yourself? And then it's up to the client to decide what resourcing themselves looks like. The minute we start saying, what I mean by that is, what can you do physically, emotionally, what can you do instead of pole dancing? There's a little bit of our own. Am I boring you, David?
No, I'm just stretching and waking up.
There's a little bit of your own agenda in that. What do you need to do to resource yourself, Mark? Is a very powerful, nice, open question for the client to work with and run with as they feel they need to. So just be mindful of that. That's all I wanted to say on the question. There were some great questions, but they get hidden in the other questions. I don't know if David agrees with me or not.
No, I completely agree. Yeah. Josh, you got your hand up, and then I want to come in if that's right.
I'll see how I feel, David. I'm kidding. I would notice something within myself when like Leanne tried to give me some guidance. Like I immediately got so defensive, and I think it's the anxiety of it, like being in a container. That's why you over explain yourself and you're trying to make sure your questions make sense. If your question doesn't make sense or it doesn't have an impact, like your client will say something that you can then move there from. And it got me thinking about something that Garth said. I hope Garth watches this. And I think it was last week in session where he spoke about getting bored when asking questions. And it made me think about what's happening when I'm getting like anxious and wanting to over explain everything when asking questions. And it is an active listening thing. It's the same answer for the boring thing. You need to actively listen. I mean, feeling anxiety, I imagine, is a natural thing depending on what you're talking about. But in the point when you're trying to over explain your questions, I think that's a listening issue. And I think that's definitely because we were all feeling a little bit watched and assessed there for a moment. But yeah, that's my input.
Oh. So I started off today's container with the Hawthorne effect. Yeah, which is what I was kind of looking at this morning. It's about how people behave when they're being watched. So, for example, whenever I make a post on LinkedIn, there's this huge story that comes up in my head, and anxiety about the people that are watching me on LinkedIn, like these corporate professionals and da da da. I get consumed by that, and this happens a lot in my life. In lots of different environments. But Mark, I just want to go back to you. And what I would like to do is just kind of normalize what's going on for you, is being a perfectly fucking human response to a very difficult situation. And so that's where you got. Yeah. So that's the one thing, like there's nothing wrong with you. The way you're responding is perfectly normal, like any other normal human being. So it's not like you're responding this way because you're an addict and all that sort of stuff. You're a well person that's trying to navigate through a difficult situation. And I was at a group last night where somebody was, they got stuff going on in their life. And then they said to me, well, they waited for me, and can I drive home with them? And then when I was driving home with them, I kind of asked a couple of questions, and then they turned around and snapped at me and said, "Listen, I don't want to talk about it." And I could see this person was properly freaked out about what was going on. And then I kind of sat with the discomfort of that. I was like, well, fuck, what must I just do? Sit in the car here? And like, felt awkward. And then I thought, shit, must I jump out the car? Must I not get out of the car? And then just before we were getting home, he said, "Do you want to come to the pub with me?" And I said, "All right, I'll come to the pub with you." And he ordered Guinness Zero. Yep. And I had a Coke, yep. And in that environment, it was so strange to watch him because the way he drank the Guinness Zero was completely alcoholically. He chugged this Guinness, then he chugged another one, and then and I was just thinking that like his whole body is freaked out, and he's looking for some sort of ritual or something to kind of calm himself down so he can talk about this stuff in a way. And I loved what Nessa said, ministry of presence. Yeah, because while I was there, I was projected to his fears, his anger, his gratitude that I was just kind of being able to kind of sit there with him. And what was going on for me is my own kind of like, fuck, is this appropriate? Should have been like, what am I doing going to a pub with an alcoholic to drink? You know, what's like, fuck, it got a bit, what's the word in my head? I started to feel a bit like you felt. Yeah, it's like, fuck, how do I respond to this situation? Yeah. So, and now I'm a bit anxious and thinking, what the fuck am I talking about? Is this relevant to this training while we're here? But I think as we develop our kind of communities of practice and work this stuff out, I think it's kind of appropriate. Yeah, well, I'm going to go with it's appropriate. How are you doing now, Mark? Let's just try and wrap this up.
Yeah. No, I want to say thank you to everyone. I'm feeling grateful. I think just to echo on what you said there, you know, I'm coming up to like 9 months of sobriety now, and I think I was feeling very confident confident in that I was putting my best into everything, you know, and I was just, I think I've been a little bit like taken aback by how I can still struggle with something. I don't know, I wasn't prepared for it, and so I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, but I'm grateful. So thank you guys for the questions, and yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, the last thing anyone wants is to fall in love, and then all of a sudden there's a great big fucking medical condition. It's like, oh my God, am I going to be stuck with this now? It's like, fuck. That's like, oh,
Mark, can I share something with you? Or all of you? Am I
Yes.
on?
Yeah. There's lots of nodding
Mark,
going on, Leanne.
sorry, I'm on my phone. I can't see all of you at the same time. It's always hard to deal with life, whether you're 9 months, 9 weeks, 9 years into recovery. That doesn't change. What happens is you become better resourced to deal with it. That idea that because I'm 9 months in, I should, for the therapists out there, should is a cognitive distortion. Should said who? You know, who said you should? Was it something you read or something you heard or something someone said? Should is a crazy, fucked up, messy idea, because who are you comparing yourself when you start to say, I should be? You know? So my invitation to all of you in recovery or not in recovery is don't expect just because you're at a certain date or phase or time in your recovery that anything becomes any less difficult. You're just better equipped to deal with it. You're going to have these emotional experiences spiritual throughout your recovery. It doesn't matter how long you're in recovery for. Just so if I can invite, just be where your feet are. It's okay. Just because you're 9 months in doesn't mean you should be handling anything any other than the way you're handling it. That goes for all of us, right? I shouldn't be thinking about drinking. I shouldn't be having cravings. I should be able to cope better with this. According to who? We are where we are. There's a saying in the rooms, be where your feet are. That's it. That pressure that you put on yourself to be at a certain phase, at a certain date, in a certain time, is not helpful to any of us in recovery. It's not helpful to your clients. You're doing great. Be where your feet are and come to fucking wellness if you need some support. Right? But I don't know. Should is a messy word, especially in recovery. That's me.
Would have, should have, would have. All right, so I'm going to call a break now. I know we're a little bit early, but I just want to break the energy a bit. So let's come back at 5-2. Get yourselves a cup of tea or coffee or something, and I'll see you in 9 minutes. Yeah? All good? Stars for you, Kayleen, for being back in class on time. Well done. You're muted.
We're all here. We just didn't want to be the
Oh,
first ones to get on.
I just
okay.
beat everyone to it with my camera.
Okay, great. All right, let's just do a quick check-in. I want to check in. What I was thinking about is I was reflecting on the fact that my role as a father and how much shame I've carried around what happened to my kids. Today was the first day I kind of mentioned that in a way that I didn't get activated in the way that I would normally get activated. Normally, when I share that story, there's a huge activation that happens. And if I talk about it too much, it will get activated. But that was a nice reflection. So, and the reason I'm saying that is my own healing continuously happens, even in my teaching role. So I'm grateful for that. So thank you all. Yeah. So I check in with gratitude and humility, and yeah. I could really have tears of gratitude that I get to work in this industry today at this point in time. I promise you that will pass. But right here, right now, I'm filled with gratitude and yeah, and it's an honor to be a human with other humans here in the container. Okay. All right. So Kayleen, you can go next.
Feeling checking in, feeling relaxed, and yeah, also grateful. Also have gratitude, but especially reflecting on what you just said, David. It is an amazing space to be in. So, and I'm grateful to hear that you've had such a positive experience this morning, and that's something profound that you noticed in yourself. And I'm going to tag Inessa.
Inessa checking in, feeling thoughtful. And I've been contemplating on what Leanne said about being where your feet are and just being in the moment. And yeah, it really spoke to me. And I'm going to tag Mark.
Thank you, Anissa. I'm checking a little bit more relaxed, and what I've been reflecting on is how grateful I am to everyone, all of you in this space. This has been the people that I started out with, and it's been a real privilege to see you guys all each week. I haven't met any of you besides Leanne, and I did meet David once when I just got here. But yeah, I'm grateful to all of you for being on this journey with me. And I'll tag Bradley.
Thanks, Mark. Bradley checking in. I think, like Inessa said, thoughtful. I think the biggest thing that I'm so grateful for is that each and every time in the container, I always learn something new from you guys. And this morning, the kids asked me, Dad, you got class this morning? I said, yeah, it's actually my last one for the year. And they're like, no. And then when you're going back, I'm like, I don't know yet. So yeah. So I think with them, they even see that there's, I come out of the class and I'm like, that was good. That was a good session. So thanks to everyone there. And then I'm going to tag Josh. I think you must still go.
Okay, well, checking in last, I definitely feel very sentimental. Definitely. But I've also reflected on the fact, specifically last week's session, that because the sessions are like 2 hours and we were at like 13, that technically we've spent 24 hours straight talking to each other, which is more than I do with my mother. So that's amazing. So checking in, very grateful and sentimental, feeling quite sentimental. And I'll tag David.
Cool.
Leanne,
So,
David wins.
Yeah, and then we still need to hear from Tonya as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, it's the video
It's
being off, sorry.
No, yeah, sorry guys. I'm checking in frustrated because my internet is really shite. But yeah, also just yeah, thank you for the very helpful reminder, Leanne. Yeah, just to be where you are. And that's what I will take with me into the rest of my day. Yeah, thank you. And that's everyone.
No, I
Leanne?
haven't checked in.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I always get left to right at the end. That's fine. At least I have a healthy self-esteem. Yeah, I'm checking in. Also thoughtful. I just yeah. David, back to you.
Right, so let's get orientated again. We're here in a class. We're here to learn about coaching, the container, coaching skills in facilitating the container. We're at the 4Q model, where we're learning about political intelligence, spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and technical skill set. So just to run through that quickly, the technical skills would be like the framework, checking in, contracting, building the container, asking the agenda, looking for the agenda from the client, asking open and closed questions, listening at levels 1, 2, and 3, listening for needs, values to get to a place of purpose, forwarding the action and deepening the learning, and then holding accountability. That's a real kind of technical skill that people can learn. The nuances come in with the emotional intelligence, the ability to track yourself, to have insight to yourself, what's being activated or triggered or brought into into your own being. Yeah, how you can communicate that to someone else, how you can have some mindset to what's going on and whether you're triggered or not triggered, and then to be able to see how the person that you're sitting in front of is doing, how they're responding, or are they reacting to the situation, and then managing the relationship. Yeah. And then in that relationship is there's a sense of you are in a powerful position, whether you like it or not. And then you have the spiritual kind of principles and ethics that kind of go with that. So don't sleep with your clients, don't start to abuse those boundaries, be honest, open, willing, courageous, all those sort of things that make up a nice human being. Yep. You can see abuse of power in many areas, in the medical world, in the faith-based organizations. You can get lots of charismatic leaders that behave really inappropriately. Just felt like, for example, and then there's the political side of things. Many different people are in many different roles that make up this system that we're in. And if we're going to be shifting the system from a culture of addiction to a culture of recovery or a culture of resilience, we need to be aware of that too. Yep. And the process around that. So, for example, one of the challenges with the system is Josh and Kayleen sitting in a holding pattern to wait to see if they can be called masters and let into a program that they can then access the kind of the medical aid system and the health professionals council and all this sort of stuff. And there's something there that triggers me or activates the activist in me that wants to call bullshit on this and saying, why the fuck do you need to do that before you can actually sit down with someone and be human and really just act in a nice way to support someone in their journey? Yep. So Josh just kind of pointed out, last week was 13 hours. That's more than 24 hours we've been together talking to each other. That's more time than I've spent with my mum, which is, it's a joke, but it's also there's often a truth in it. What's it? Many a truth said in jest, I think the saying goes. Yeah. And then if we go a little bit deeper, there's a jester in me, there's a joker in me, I've got a good sense of humor, I like to think. It can be very inappropriate at times. But what I thank you for that acknowledgement, Lee. But what it is, it's a defense mechanism which I learned as a survival technique as a child, yep, to help me cope with anxiety. And actually, I'm a very, 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 very fucking serious person. And even though I mask with humor, I can be seen as not taking things seriously. But I think I'm one of the most serious people I know, and that out of all the people I kind of interact with in the world, I feel I haven't really come across anything that's like the way that we try and do things in terms of doing good. That's yeah. I mean, I'm sure there is, but yeah. So I'm not sure where I'm going with this actually. I think I'm just going with the fact that like I'm a pioneer in this, and that this industry is evolving, and yeah. So let's just have an open discussion, and let's see where this goes as I sit here with my peers, as yeah, as people work in this complex environment. Is that okay? Oh shit, it's not okay. Leanne says no.
Why
Right.
did you always say that? Is that okay? Well,
Yeah, I know, that's my anxiety talking again.
it's
So
like it's if
yeah,
it's not okay, people can always leave the container, right?
yeah. And there's
David,
another
can I?
there's yes, go Josh.
I just wanted to say it was so nice to hear you say that. I wrote down elements of what you said, not because I'm writing a case study on you or anything, but because I relate to that so much. Everything you said is me. I feel like I'm one of the most passionate people. I have such strong beliefs and such strong like motives and dreams and all these things, but a lot of people do see me as maybe not being as serious. Because also as a child, I mean, I grew up in a very turbulent household with parents that were either very angry or maybe were tolerant of me being around. They're okay now, but it made anxiety was a big thing for me, and making jokes was also a very big thing for me. And I think, a big thing for masters is, really being yourself for the interviews. And I think sometimes, I battle to be myself and be aware of that. And just having that put into words was nice. I mean, I remember for Wits this year, I got interviewed by the same people I was interviewed by last year. And I don't know why, like vomit, it came out of my mouth. The first thing I said to them when I walked in is, I've been thinking about you guys probably way more than you've been thinking about me. And I said it like that. And I just thought, wow, that was a really shit way to start this. That just knew immediately, okay, I'm not getting in here. But if I would have unpacked that with them and said, oh, I noticed that, I think it would have been a different and more interesting interview. So I just thought I'd make that comment.
And yet that is so bravely honest. That is so like I mean, if I was sitting there, I'd fucking go, yeah, this man is right. That's straight away that statement builds trust in me, and it calls out. It is what it is. Yep. Mark.
So, David, when you said you were a pioneer, the question that came to my mind, what is the dream goal that you're trying to achieve?
Fuck, no, we've created a monster here. So just to give you some history on that, my dream was to own a rehab. Yep. And when I got to the clinic and I built this rehab, and at the time it was called Sharp, I had a a breakdown, for want of a better word. It's like, oh fuck, I've achieved this now. Now what? Yep. And so the goal that I was aiming for, when I got there and achieved it, I went into crisis because fuck, now what? So I then changed it to a BHAG, which is from I can't remember what one of these American.
Tony Robbins.
No. Jack Walsh, I think it is Jack. Anyway, a BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Yep. Something that's really big, really fucking hairy and scary, audacious, whatever that word means, but it reminds me of that purple monster in Monster Incorporated, and the goal. Yep. Something I will never complete. So then I said was to cure the world of addiction. Yep. So I really want to kind of cure the world of addiction. And the thinking at the time was very much in the terms of the disease concept. And so with that goal, I was able to adjust my time to anything. Is it going in that direction? Yep. And the way that you cure the world of addiction is through training, yep, educating people, empowering individuals, and improving treatment outcomes. And hence we've got train, empower, and treat. And the vehicle that lives in is a public benefit organization. So there's a Section 18A trust, which is a vehicle to kind of go out and mandated to go and help the general population. And that's kind of structured in a way to like, I have to stay focused on helping everyone. So there are kind of structures in place to keep me on track to that BHAG, yeah. And that's why I think mine and Leanne's partnership works so well, because Leanne has a whole lot of qualities that I don't have, and our relationship, our combination, we complement each other in building this sort of thing. Yep, and going out in the world. So we're
Basically, David doesn't like to do admin.
well, that's not entirely true, but I prefer delegating admin. No, that's not. That's really not true, Leanne. It's
You don't
you
like
bring.
you like doing admin.
No.
I said you don't like doing it. I didn't say you couldn't do it.
I'm not defensive, okay? I'm really not defensive, okay? So can you just? No, I'm not. No. But what I do want to what's been fantastic with Leanne, and Leanne comes from an education environment, a teaching environment, and my style of teaching is very different to kind of the traditional structured way that teaching gets done. And Leanne has really fucking been phenomenal in taking the kind of the magic that gets created here and then put it in a structured a framework and something that people can resonate with, and then it can be evaluated and what's the word I'm looking for? Rolled out. So you've asked a very pertinent question, Mark. So thank you. I'm just fucking gonna use the time and take the wisdom from the container, because the next thing to complete that goal is we've got the content, we've got the training, we've got all the kind of research that supports it all. The next thing to do is to create facilitators that can go out and facilitate this work and build containers and create it. So where me and Leanne need to move to next year is training facilitators to facilitate this work. So instead of like focusing on individual coaches, to focus on teachers that can facilitate coaching, and then we'll get a bigger audience, which aligns to the BHAG. Ooh. Yes, Anessa. I'm being coached by the container. That's fucking fantastic.
So I know that part of what you guys are doing, so if this is not coaching session, you can throw it out and answer it at another time. But I know as part of this BHAG that you're working on is developing the new accreditation system. And I would really love to know the difference between what you've been offering up until now to how this is going to be different coming up now with the new things that you're putting in place.
So the challenge is that the addiction impacts everyone, and it's a huge diversity issue. And a lot of Western psychology and the way that we've been addressing this thing has been using English as a language. And a lot of the thinking has kind of essentially come from white straight males, yeah, from European descent. And for us to address this global problem, we got to find a way of teaching this stuff in a way that is a universal type of language. And that's why the training's broken up into symbols and little modules. So somebody could talk about the symbol of the coaching conversation in their language, as opposed to having to learn English and then talk about it in the English language. Yeah. So those symbols are the headphones, yeah, for the conversation, which is about listening, the glasses for the continuum, seeing, then the system, and then the 4Q model, and then building the container. Yeah. And that work goes back to traditional cultural, essentially kind of Native American, African culture, Aboriginal culture, where people are kind of coming together in community, talking about things like the ancestors, their stories, their dreams, their visions, all that sort of stuff. And to support this, I've been doing research on the history of AA and Bill Wilson's relationship with Carl Jung, and Carl Jung's relationship with William James, who's considered to be the father of psychology in the US, and their trips to Native American communities in America and in Africa, their experience kind of working in the African context. So, I get so excited when I talk about this. My kokorozashi starts to come up and I start to salivate in my mouth. So I think we're pretty ingenious in the way that we're thinking about how do you educate and get this out there to people that aren't kind of Anglo-Saxon Judeo-Christian background. How's that for a fucking speech, eh? It's pretty impressive.
Great speech. Now, can I ask you Anne the same question so I can get my answer?
Ooh, bitchy. Yo.
Inessa, the training's not going to change. The certification, the process, where we move away from ICR into a different accreditation organization is not going to affect you at all at this stage. You know, the training will remain the same. The standards will remain the same, if not improved. It's just the work David's doing, partnering in different ways. We get very little from ICR as a brand that we associate with. Just like David and I both did our master coaching through an organization called the Institute of Management Consultants and Master Coaches South Africa. We've both pulled away because we get very little in our association, in our relationships with them, other than here's a logo to put on your email. So I think if I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's about the relationships we're developing at an international level. So we are, for example, if you're British and you want to get CPD points for the training, we belong to an organization called
CPD
which
UK.
does CPD UK, then people can go on and they can do the training, and as social workers, etc., therapists, they can get CPD points as coaches. So it's just about the relationship building that goes on behind the scenes. If you want to go off and join COMENSA or ICR or even ICF, which is you can do that because you're certified to a certain level. What you do in terms of your personal accreditation is your choice. That's got nothing to do with us, and we can't accredit you. At the moment, we're not an accreditation organization. We're a training and certification organization. Accreditation is accreditation is a bit like you do psychology to master's level. It doesn't matter which university you do it at, and then you go off and become accredited by the HPCSA. It's independent of training. ICF is a very expensive choice for most South Africans. It runs into what works out to tens of thousands of rands a year for us because it's a dollar-based organization. But in terms of the training and the standard and what you can do with it afterwards, you can still go enjoy it. If we end our relationship with ICR, you can still become certified and accredited through ICR. Our experience with them and COMENSA is that you get very little from doing that. At the moment, I'm not accredited with anyone. I'm not working under an accreditation at all. And no one's ever asked me for that. So, that's, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, it does.
So basically nothing's going to change. If you finish off and you want to go and join COMENSA as a coach practitioner, or you want all of these things, you pay money to belong to an organization, and you're very lucky. I was with COMENSA, I was with ICR, I was with IMCSA. I got absolutely nothing for my annual subs. Nothing. So I don't belong to any of them anymore. And to be honest, not one single person that I've coached in 10 years has ever asked me to produce something like that. I work with psychologists, I work with psychiatrists, I work with treatment centers, I get referrals all the time. I spoke to a psychiatrist yesterday about one of my clients. No one has ever asked me where I was trained or whether I'm accredited. And for me, I found it just became a very, very pricey thing so that I could put someone's logo on my email address, which means nothing to anyone anyway. You can make up a whole lot of logos and put them on the bottom of your email address. No one will ask you where they came from. Do you know what I mean? So nothing's going to change in that respect.
Yes, Mark.
So, David, I wanted to know what is it like coaching in the UK?
Frustrating.
Why?
Because they're behind Africa. The world is generally behind Africa in terms of coaching, in terms of technology, in the terms of creating community resources. The challenges in Africa are so huge that we're incredibly resourceful and resilient. And so the system here is so established, it's incredibly slow. So people will argue about accrediting bodies. And if you've got the BHCP, a qualification, accreditation, and but if you actually sit down with that person, what's on offer, it doesn't actually, yeah, no, this triggers me. Because I never really know whether my kind of bias is coming in here. But I mean, the work that we're doing is we've been doing this long before the English and the Americans have gotten onto this. And then what I see happens in the world, and particularly in South Africa as well, there's an internal oppression where we keep ourselves small and seem to think, oh, well, they know what they're doing at Oxford or they know what they're doing at Harvard, when actually we're the ones that are innovating and coming up with solutions. So I really stand by our statement is we have an African solution for a global problem. Yeah, and then our use of technology, I like to think is very innovative as well. And the fact that these are recorded and we're keeping a history of this for academic purposes and evidence to form that body of evidence is, I think, it's just kind of academically robust and sound as well. Wait till I get my fingers on AI to go through all the material and to extrapolate the findings and what's working and all that. But how many times have you guys done this training? This is your first time, Mark?
Yes, it is. I'm quite proud of myself. I was thinking about it yesterday. I haven't missed one of these classes, so I feel like I'm doing some positive work for myself.
Yeah, like last Wednesday, I went to Ireland to certify those people from from Sankalpa, a lived experienced organization at Dublin City University, and they were there with their gowns and everything, getting their certificates. And there was such pride in them receiving this qualification and a certificate. There's such a ritual and it has such a huge impact on people's kind of psyche, because a lot of these people weren't traditional learners. You know, they're the ones that were the naughty kids at school, or got kicked out, or got into criminal behavior, or went to jail, things like that. And to kind of get this acknowledgement is huge. So Tanya just sent a message saying we're all unprofessional. This is a load of shit. She's leaving. That was a joke,
I have
guys.
a trust issue. I don't believe what you're saying.
Yes, good. Good. Okay. So do you see how this is kind of fitting in the 4Q model as well? Particularly on the political side of things. What's your credibility? What's your training? Who do you think you are? And we've got the stuff in the background to support this stuff and validate it. I mean, the fact that the work's been researched by David Best, the world's first addiction professor at Trinity College in the UK, he's actually gone and done research on this work and how it's impacted recovery connections and inclusive recovery cities. Middlesbrough is it's a huge feather in our cap. And my next vision is to unite South Africa and bring South Africa into an inclusive recovery country, and to unite the 9 provinces. That's my next bugbear. And I've started that this week. And yesterday I was watching a video on. In fact, I posted it, but the 2 founders of motivational interviewing. The one guy is South African, and motivational interviewing is a huge thing around the world nowadays. And yeah. And the question I wanted to ask the learned people in this container, what's the difference between recovery coaching and motivational interviewing? And what's the difference between recovery coaching and counseling?
So I can answer recovery coaching and counseling.
Yeah,
Question.
okay. So we'll go
I don't
Inessa,
know- I don't-
Kayleen, and then Mark.
I don't know much about motivational interviewing. In fact, this is the first time I'm hearing the term, so I'm very keen to learn. But the difference between counseling and coaching, recovery coaching, is that counseling will be more like a therapy, and you will go into the past of the person and you will explore where the triggers come from, and it will become quite technical, and you actually need to be, I think, quite qualified to be able to engage in the therapy, while coaching would be the client driven. You will be looking ahead from where you're at now, where you're going, and how you're going to get there, and just more asking questions about that.
Kayleen?
So Inessa answered the bulk of you all gave the bulk of the answer that I was also going to give, but I would like to just build on that. So for me, it's been, being in a counseling space and having volunteered at a rehab, which took a very counseling oriented approach. It was really about sitting with the feelings, going deeper into that, going into the life story. Which I think is also important when starting with any client, having a little bit of an understanding of the context that they're coming from. But how I have to constantly sort of switch hats, I would say, between counseling and coaching, especially in my sessions with Inessa, I've had to be so conscious of that, how like we don't want to turn it into a therapy session necessarily where we dwell very much on what's already happened and sort of matters of the heart that are like sort of just going deeper into feelings and almost spiraling a little bit, because I have found that Inessa and my sessions have, like, when I've been coached, because of some things that I've been going through personally, like it's been hard to have a very goal-oriented approach, although Inessa's done an incredible job. So I have to constantly check myself and say, is this turning into a therapy session, or are we being sort of constructive and very structured in our approach to like solving a greater issue? So that's what coaching is being a little bit more focused on the future and where we're heading, as opposed to just dwelling a little bit in what's already been and what we can't do much about.
Mark? Thanks, Kelly.
Well, I just want to say from my experience, now that I know, or I've had experience with both counselors and coaches, I don't think I will ever again waste any of my money on a counseling session. Because I've lost track of the amount of counselors that I've had the pleasure of sitting and unpacking my entire life over 30 sessions, and at the end of it getting absolutely nowhere but looking for someone else to start the whole process all over again. There was never anything actionable or like positive that came out of it, other than me just, I don't know, puking out all my life, and I never got anywhere with them. Whereas with my coaching sessions, even with Josh, it's like I feel like it's small little actionable things that have come out of it, and I've seen progress, and yeah, it's been so rewarding. And I don't know, I don't want to be that person that advocates that counselors are not the way to go, but I have seen the real benefit in actually the coaching side of things. So I probably will become an activist myself in that plot, David. No offense, Kayleen and Josh. I know you're on a different thing.
Josh?
So, I mean, I love both, to be quite frank. I think from what I'm hearing, there is like very much an understanding of psychology from a very psychodynamic point of view, and the idea of like unpacking your childhood. I mean, I think I definitely agree with Leanne in the understanding of like deepening emotions and thinking about that. But I think there's a lot more similarities between coaching and psychology as a whole. You know, I can't speak for counseling. I can speak for the differences between clinical psychology and coaching. But those are a little bit more practical, you know, it has to do with assessment and diagnosis and medical aid and that kind of stuff. But I think what I've noticed more with coaching is that it's like it's literally like Katie said, it's about action and it's about moving toward action. And I feel like there's definitely a space for counseling, and there's definitely a space for sitting in a therapeutic space, and you know, especially when it comes to understanding yourself a little bit more. But I found that, like, at least being coached by Mark, I came to him with something very vulnerable last week, and I didn't really need to think about how shit I was feeling. I didn't really need to. I mean, I understood it completely, and I needed coaching, and yeah, it drove action that greatly improved my life. So I'm very happy about that. So I've noticed the difference. I think there's space for both, and I don't think if I ever am a practicing clinical psychologist that there'll be like no coaching with my patients. It's definitely going to be a mix of both because there's value in both. That's what I'll say.
Vanessa, back to you.
So I think one of the biggest differences is actually in approach, because when somebody comes for counseling, they come with the assumption that they're not well, and then how do we become well? Well, with coaching, it's more of how do we go further into wellness. So we're exploring from the place of being well into wellness. That's been my observation from what I've learned from this container.
Leanne?
So in the first couple of years that I started working at the clinic, we had a clinical psychologist called Michael Niss who worked with us and helped us develop the program, and was very instrumental along with David in kind of helping me to understand the work. And I went to see him a few weeks ago for coffee, and he said the great thing about the world today, whether it's therapy or coaching or counseling, is that everybody has access to the same materials. He said 30 years or 40 years ago, when you became a psychologist, it was like a hidden box of mystery secrets that was only shared amongst psychologists. Now a coach can go out and they can learn about CBT, and they can learn about DBT or acceptance and commitment therapy, all these things which used to be closely held secrets of the therapists. And he said the way he sees it, you know, there's only one important thing, and everything else can be learned. And the one important thing is whether you can create a therapeutic relationship with the person sitting in front of you and build trust and rapport. He says everything else is available on the internet, and he used to talk about this a lot. The most important thing is that you can build this relationship, and there's trust and connection. All the rest is just how you choose to do the work and what you learn and what you're taught. But and he's a massive proponent of coaching and always was. And I think that's you know, what we do once we're in the section, sometimes it's goal orientated, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's about emotions, sometimes it's about trauma, sometimes it's the past, sometimes it's the future. I agree with Josh. We're not diagnosing. It's not about the HPCSA and the medical aids. You know, but other than that, you know, we work with what the client brings us a lot of the time. And I think I agree that the most important thing is, can we create a trusting relationship, develop rapport, and work with the clients who's sitting in front of us. I think for me, after the rest is just semantics. You know, sometimes it's maybe more of a coaching session, sometimes it's a bit more counseling. You know, I think it very much depends what the people are bringing us on any given day.
Nice smile, Josh.
No, can I just say that I've been thinking quite often about like my motivations in doing that and how it shifted in doing this course. I mean, my initial motivation was to, you know, get some kind of experience sitting with people in the hopes of getting into masters. I'm still going to try my best to get into masters. It's the dream. Medical aid payments would really help with the, you know, funding of this kind of work. But my like I don't know when it happened, but like my motives have changed more. Like I don't know how to explain it. It kind of feels like guerrilla warfare, like psych guerrilla warfare. Like, okay, you know what? Not everyone can afford this fucking shit. And we can do this shit, like David says. It doesn't take much to sit with the person. Okay. It's about building a therapeutic relationship. That's what you call it. We call it the container, or as I call it with Mark, the scuffed in. You know, we all have our different words for it. And I think it's really beautiful. Like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it because I mean, fuck, I wish I had access to these kinds of resources. When I was in high school and you were going through something, if you couldn't afford a 2,000 Rand session with a psychologist, it was like, suck it up and pray, you know? And prayer is great, but it's not what you need all the time. And I wish I had access to stuff like this or knew about it at least. So yeah, it's very, very beautiful space that we've created here and that I hope to create in other places with other people. I think it's very exciting.
Aileen?
Yeah, I wanted to actually comment on what Josh said earlier about if he ever became a clinical psychologist, how he'd want to integrate some of the coaching principles into the treatment plans. And I think that what that struck with me was the realization that that's actually what I've experienced with my own psychologist that I've started seeing recently. So a lady in Rosebank, and I found her quite practically oriented. So it was a huge contrast to what I had experienced with previous psychologists who were very much just asking a bunch of open-ended questions and not really having sort of a little bit of a push in a direction that would get you to a point of realizing what you need to do practically to solve your problem. So I really like that. If it felt with the psychologist, I liked her approach because it feels more like you're sitting down with a meeting. And I think what strikes me is that it's a collaboration. It feels like a collaboration rather than them sort of sitting on, their armchair and sort of just kind of asking questions back to you that makes you sort of reflect on your past. I mean, you can do that all day, but how is that going to get you to a point of clarity where you realize what you need to start doing differently and what you need to. So maybe some psychologists are just a little bit more afraid to sort of steer it in that direction. But I think I was quite impressed with how that psychologist did things versus how it had been for me in the past. I felt a lot more empowered. I felt a lot more like a sense of direction. And so I think that Josh, maybe that is what she's done as well, is to take a more practical and like focused, goal-oriented approach to the conversation so that it feels like we are equals in like navigating this situation, and it's empowering for the clients. So I think that maybe it would do a lot of the master students a lot of good to also have coaching principles integrated into the course. I'm not sure if that's something that some places do, but yeah, I just wanted to comment that that does seem to be something that fortunately some psychologists are doing, that they're taking a more practical approach.
So I almost got all teary when Josh was saying he wished that, like I wish that I could project myself into the past and coach myself when I was coming out. And it could have helped me with all those major identity issues I had in the past and helped me with my self-esteem and what I wanted my life to really look like, and helped me make the right decisions. Like, I don't know, like if I'd had someone help me with coming out when I was 21, I think I would have had a way different process. I don't know if I would be here in this place that I'm in now if I had someone coaching me back then. Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for me is that we're all seeking, wherever in our wellness or our recovery, is we're looking for enriched relationships. That's what we want to base everything on. And even when we come moving from throughout our life, we're looking for enriched relationships. And David, you said that this has been a vehicle for you in a sense of building relationships. And it's the same as us within a faith-based. The church, we just use it as a community to build enriched relationships. And the more we can do that, the more we find ourselves at wellness points better and better and better. It's because we're looking to build relationships with everyone, with people.
So, Inessa, did you check in saying your grandfather in Ukraine's searching ChatGPT for his back pain?
My stepfather, yes.
Oh, your stepfather, he's in Ukraine
Yes, my family is in Ukraine at the moment.
with the war going on and everything.
Yeah. I'm Ukrainian, so I don't know if you know.
No, I thought you were Afrikaans. So,
Oh, no, I'm not Afrikaans. I'm just married to an Afrikaans guy.
okay, all right. Well, that's interesting. How's may I ask what that's like? Having family in a war zone.
So it was very intense in the beginning. I think I had to come to a place, and I kept on re-traumatizing myself all the time just by reading news. And at some point, my brother was talking about he's sitting on the 5th story and he can see the tanks at the bottom going through Kiev, and shooting in the streets. So it became very, very intense and very traumatic. My mom is staying on her own in another city, and I'm pretty much her only connection to somebody that will, from the outside. She doesn't have family out there really that she talks to. So it got quite intense. Somebody reminded me in the beginning of the war that when they were praying about it, God said to them, "I'm God in the middle of the war as well, and I'm still present there." And I think and I can take comfort in that God is in control, on a small level as well as the large level. And I can't change anything by being angry with what's happening. I can't change anything by getting upset and trying to have campaigns or anything like that, because it's just going to re-trigger me. It might be different for other people. It's just where I'm at. I'll get re-traumatized. So I think I found my place of peace. I still talk to my mom every day, and I support her. And when I feel like I'm being triggered, then I'll do some art and whatever I need to regulate myself. Because at the moment, that's the most important thing, that I can be there for my mom. So it's back to that ministry of presence. I listen. I try to give positive answers. I try to give her encouragement to, not to sit at home the whole time, to go outside a bit, to look after her health and all of that. So that's all one can do on distance.
Deeply moved by that, Inessa. Deeply moved. You've really touched my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing something so sacred. For me, I'm going to, particularly when you said God's presence in the middle of the war, that just really kind of cracked me open. So I really just want to appreciate that. And for me, it's been a real leveler in the container. For me, it's like we're talking like academic We just drop down to fuck. Like, how do you support someone whose family's stuck in a war zone? So I'm deeply moved by that. Thank you, Inessa. I hope that
Thanks,
wasn't too I'm just very impacted by that. So I'm very grateful for you sharing that. I hope that hasn't impacted you in a negative way, but quite the opposite. My hope is that was beneficial for you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. All right. So on that note, I'm going to wish everyone a wonderful Christmas, and we'll come back in the first Wednesday, the second week of January. Does that work for you, Leanne?
8th of January is the start date, not the 1st.
Sorry, the
It's the second week of January, the
The
8th.
second Wednesday in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what. Okay, cool. That's good for me. Yeah. So I check out with a lot of gratitude and such humility to be with my colleagues here, my fellow humans on this fucking journey. And I'll tell you all next year what coaching is. You all got it wrong, so that's that's not true, but still. Yeah, I'm deeply humbled. Thank you. And I'm going to tag Leanne because she always feels left out.
No, I said I don't feel left out. Yeah, I'm taking out with gratitude, passing over to Inessa.
So I'm very slightly triggered, so don't feel bad. I'm just aware that I need to do some drawing tonight, so that's what I'm going to be what I'll be doing. And it's not you that triggered me, David, just so that you don't go into Christmas feeling bad. People do ask me quite often, and that's pretty much what I tell them. So it's nothing new there. But so I'm checking out with the awareness of needing to have some more me time and art time, which is a good time to have. And
You muted yourself, Inessa. Is it me? No, I can see other faces moving. All right.
I think she's frozen.
Okay. All right. Well, Inessa tags Bradley. Oh, she's back. Okay.
I tagged Josh, but I think I froze half mid-sentence.
Yeah, you
So,
did. Do you just want to finish what you were saying?
yeah, I can't remember what where I stopped, where I froze, but I just basically said that I'm just aware that I need to spend some time with my paintbrushes, and I'm checking out, feeling that motivated to do that, and I'm taking Josh.
I'm checking out, also feeling very humbled. I'm going to be thinking about all of you over the festive season on the beach. It's going to be just nice. I feel like I've really done something, these past few weeks, and I'm really proud of myself and proud to be part of this container. Also reflecting a lot on how Ministry of Presence would be a great Christian rock band name. Just putting that out there. But feeling very humbled, and I will tag Mark.
That'll be a great name for any band, even a death metal band.
Mark, checking out, also very grateful now. I fully understood what Inessa was saying in the beginning when she mentioned the Ministry of Presence. You've given me so much insight into how I can handle my situation. It was like now it brought everything full circle for me, and I feel fantastic. So thank you, Inessa. And I wish you all the best going forward with your family, and my prayers are there with yours. And yeah, I will tag Kelly.
So just before you go, Kelly, have you noticed how Mark's energy has changed from when he checked in the beginning to where he is now? The container is a fascinating thing. Kelly?
Kelly, checking out, feeling grounded. I think that's what I'm always grateful for with these sessions with the container. I think that we've all come to it's become such a part of our week to week, seeing one another's faces and having this energy that's, for me personally, it brings me back to like, it's very grounding. It's sort of like a center of gravity in my week where kind of like ties everything together and makes me feel motivated to take on the week that follows. So I'm kind of nervous about what it's going to be like not having that. Not for the next 2 weeks, because there will be lots of distractions, but I think that once we end this whole course and this specific container, there's going to be, it's going to be a lot nostalgic, but also sad to let go of that. But so I'm very grateful that we still have a few weeks together, and I'll miss you guys over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to tag, Bradley, have you gone? Not yet. Bradley.
Okay, thanks, Galen. I think I check out with a lot of love. And I think it's I'm sitting here and also just with that Ministry of Presence, and I'm thinking, I think this time that we're not going to be seeing each other, I'm going to build a container here with my family and be spending a lot of time with them. So I check out, yes, grateful and with a lot of love. I'm going to pause. Oh, that is it. Tanya's not with us. So Dave, back to you.
Thank you. So, yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. Josh and Kayleen, I'd like to have a conversation with you sometime about doing a master's, regardless of whether you get let into a master's anyway. If there was something that, if you had a research proposal or something that you'd want to do and to work on, and to just kind of do it, and then we use it, we put it in our school here as here are two master coaches, here's their portfolio of evidence, here's their research, here's the research question and all that, and then just to take it and great, what a fantastic research topic. Shane, wonderful. So yeah, let's have a conversation around that. I know that Angelica had the same problem in South Africa, and she's doing her research proposal, and we're going to pass it around the academics here in the UK as well. So, fuck the system, guys. Let's just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Sorry for swearing, Anessa. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.